Hi audience, we're back. I told you guys, domestic violence is not allowed in any community, in any society. And we're here to say once again, no to domestic violence, no to any kind of abuse. Verbal, emotional, psychological, financial, sexual, physical. We are here on the Unique Show to say no to abuse. Let's continue. Now let's talk about annoyance. You are always angry at every smallest thing that your spouse does at home. You can't stand it. And this is supposed to be your better half. Remember, the Bible says, for this reason shall a man leave his father and his mother and cling to his wife, so that they shall become one. How can a part of you annoy you so much that every time nothing she does is ever right? Dr. Pra, let's start with you on annoyance.
Yes, annoyance is one of the signs that you will have if you are in a relationship, that relationship is heading towards domestic violence. Annoyance is not just annoyance, because as human beings, we make mistakes. We do things that are not right. So you can anger your partner. Exactly. That's not what we're talking about today. Nobody is perfect. What we're talking about today is constant annoyance. Annoyance to everything you say. Annoyance to everything you do.
Even the way you walk.
Annoyance to the way you walk.
Yes.
Annoyance for what you wear. Annoyance, in fact, the person is annoyed that you are even alive. It seems that you can't do anything right.
Yes.
Everything you do is wrong. There's something that you have done every day that will set him off or her off. Something you have done. Maybe he came into the house, honey, how are you? And you didn't respond immediately. It's annoyance. Maybe you bring out his food by 7 p.m. and now you're running late. It's 7:15. The food is not on the table. It's annoyance.
Exactly.
Maybe he asked for a little bit salt or pepper, and when you are on your way to get it, maybe you drop the little salt bottle. Annoyed. Maybe he comes into the house. The children, the things are not where they're supposed to be. It's annoyance. Maybe everything is this. You wake up in the morning. You clean the whole house. You cook a good meal. You put it on the table. You make sure that the serviettes are there. Everything is perfectly clean. You clean the house and even put a little air freshener so that everything will be perfect. And he still comes in. It is annoying. There is one little thing that you didn't do right, and he blows over that. That is a classic sign that something is wrong with this relationship. People in diaspora, we always have this problem because of our cultural upbringing. We have to do this and do that. Yes, we have to do everything because it's our culture. But you have to recognize the signs of abuse when you are in an abusive relationship and do something to prevent it. If you have done everything you're supposed to do and you know that everything is going well and this person is still angry, then that is a sign that something is wrong somewhere and you have to look into it.
Dr. Uzo, what do you have to say about annoyance?
Annoyance is a word that has different colorings and faces, so to speak. Now, the ones people recognize is when people are mad at you. Children will always say, yelling,
banging the door,
banging the door, throwing things or destroying things in anger, all in the name of, well, the devil made me do it. Also, annoyance can also come in form of withdrawal or like remaining incommunicado. You know, silence.
Right.
You are living together with your spouse. It's like you are just roommates.
Sometimes roommates are even better. They speak to each other.
So because of that, we discovered that it's a range. It comes from worry, concern, criticism, rage, frustration,
irritability,
reaction, irritability. It comes in different forms because the only one people recognize is the obvious one. But like withdrawal, not talking to each other, not calling each other. Maybe your spouse used to call you on phone before. All of a sudden, he doesn't call and check on you on the keys anymore because something is wrong. So these things.
Or maybe he has a pet name for you. Let's say he calls you sweetie, and all of a sudden
he turns to that woman. That's now you know that something is wrong. Yes. So. And you know, the Bible talks about love covering a multitude of sin. Because when you love somebody, you tend to ignore their fault.
Yes.
Now the person now become petty and picky.
Picks at
Every
everything.
little thing, he's not satisfied.
Yes.
From the food to whatever you do, even your tone of voice trips him off.
Exactly.
The way
That
you look
is-
at him.
That is a problem. So it's a way that annoyance expresses itself. So, you know, the Bible said be angry and sin not. Unfortunately, people don't understand anger management because they think, oh, I'll get over it. No, we need help.
You need help.
And that's what we're going to talk about, guys. We're going to talk about that in solutions. So guys out there, my audience, I hope you guys are listening. Listen real good. The men and the women, children, everybody out there. Annoyance. You are in a relationship and you pick on your spouse, you pick on your partner. Nothing good comes out of this person. You can't stand the way she smiles. You can't stand the way she looks. You can't stand her friends. You can't stand the way she walks. All of a sudden, a 20-year-old woman or a 30-year-old woman, you want to tell her how she can smile. You want to tell her how she can talk. When she wants to say something in the crowd, you're telling her, hey, don't say nothing, sit down. What do you want to say? That is a sign that this person is going to be abusive, because what happens is that right
Too
now
controlling.
you are dating and you're having fun. So when he tells you don't talk, you say, oh, he loves me, and you stop. But once he marries you or she marries you, then there is no longer pretense. You are now in his house.
Yes.
And because of our culture, we don't believe in divorce. And because we are Christians, we don't believe in such things. So you are stuck there for life. And along the line, you guys are going to head into domestic violence.
Of course.
And just like Dr. Uzo said, guys out there, please listen to this. Being angry, being annoyed is not only when your spouse throws things at you. It's not only when your spouse is yelling or screaming at you. It's not only when your spouse is hitting or making holes in the wall. It's when he is not talking to you. When he's withdrawn from you. When he is now trying to criticize every little thing you do.
Or putting you down.
When he tries to put you down, some men will come and, like I always say on this show, you say you are an intelligent man or woman. You are a smart man or woman. You are way up there. You are classic. You are this. And then you left all the educated women and went and married this fool. What does that tell us about you?
About you.
If you are this smart, you should have married a smart woman. So don't come and tell me your wife is a fool, because you're telling me you are a fool, because you chose her. And women, don't come and tell me your husband is a fool. You chose him, so you must be a fool. So
The truth of the matter is that they know that they married a smart man or a smart woman. But because they want to control,
And
that
abuse.
person is now stupid and
You
a fool.
And things you will overlook before. Little things you can overlook. Now your partner is beginning to pick on them. Your partner is beginning to criticize you. You are too fat. You are too slim. Your head is too short. Your head is too long. Honey, if you love me for who I am. Guys, it is high time we begin to think of ourselves.
Self-esteem.
People treat you the way you treat yourself.
That is correct.
If you carry yourself with dignity and respect, I promise you, audience, people will begin to respect and value you.
That's correct.
Don't put yourself down for your spouse or your partner to put you down. Tell your partner, hey, I value myself, and what more than you call me? I don't answer any name that is not Akudo. My name is Akudo Ehirim, and that's what you call me. If your spouse is beginning to change your name from Ijoma to stupid, from Ozo to useless, sweetie, don't answer that name. That's not your name. That's not your name. Your mom called you Ijoma. My mom called me Akudo. His mom called him Ozo. If you're not going to address me by my name, then it's time for you to walk home. Just go. That relationship is heading where you don't want it to end.
At all.
We don't need a solution to domestic violence. We need to prevent it before it ever happens. Now let's go to the next one. We talked about tiptoeing. What about you have a spouse, you are in a relationship where you have to tiptoe around. Once your husband or your spouse is coming back, maybe he gets off work by 5. By 4 o'clock, you have started straightening everything. You have to tiptoe because of the same annoyance. What do you guys have to talk about that? Tiptoeing around your spouse.
Yes. Once you start tiptoeing around someone that you are in a relationship with, that is a sign that that relationship is not healthy.
Tell us the meaning of tiptoeing.
Right.
Okay.
When I talk about tiptoeing, is things like you walk on eggshell because the person has exhibited anger, the person has exhibited irritability, the person has exhibited criticism, withdrawal, and all the classic signs that we have mentioned today. So what you do is this. If the person, you're going to be around that person, you are always like an eggshell.
On the edge.
Yes, on the edge. You don't know where to step. You don't know what you will say that will trigger it. You don't know what you will do that will trigger it.
And you want to be somebody
what you're trying
not.
to do is be someone that you're not. Because you are forever, if you want to say something, you have to check it. Should I say this in front of this person?
In other words, you are not yourself anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to do something, you say, this thing that I'm doing now, will it cause problem if this person sees it? And you are always afraid. If somebody throws something, you jump. You're jumpy. You're on the edge. Because you don't know what will trigger. That is the worst kind of place that you can find yourself. Once you find yourself in that situation, your relationship is not healthy.
It's heading to domestic violence.
Yes, it's not healthy because forever, walking on eggshell is something you cannot continue forever. You can do it for a short while. But what will happen, after some time you get tired, and what will happen? Once you don't do it anymore, the annoyance will take over and it leads to threat or even harm.
And let me give you guys a story, audience. There is a lady I know, okay? This lady is an extrovert. She talks, she's free, she dances, she loves to dance. But because she's in an abusive relationship, her husband thinks, you know, you might be an extrovert, some men or women might accept it, while some people might be intimidated by it.
Right.
Her husband was intimidated by it. So her husband was like, whenever we go out to the crowd, I don't want you to dance, I don't want you to do this. So we went out somewhere and everybody was dancing, and I know this lady, she can dance real good. So I walked up to her and I said, come on. I took her by the hand, I said, come on, let's go dance. And she told me, she said, no, I don't want to dance because my husband is here. I said, why? What does that mean? Your husband is here, you're not doing anything bad, you're just going to dance. And she looked at me and whispered, no, if I dance and we get home, he's going to hit me. He's going to hit me, so I don't want to do anything. While they were at that party, that woman did not leave her table. She sat on that table. All she did was when she got up to go get food for her and her husband, that was it. So she's tiptoeing around the man, you know, walking on eggshells to make sure she doesn't get hit at home.
But what she doesn't understand is that actually, because she is not herself and she's not dancing, she is living in a relationship where she is most unhappy.
Very unhappy.
Because she's walking around somebody else's schedule and what they want her to do.
That's like bondage.
That is a bondage.
And the question I asked her was, how long are you going to do this?
It's not going to last long.
I told her, if you're going to marry this guy, I asked her, are you guys married? She said no. But they are going to get married next year, July. I told her, I said, I would like you to reconsider. Sit down with this guy and talk this, because how long are you going to do this? How long are you going to be somebody you are not? It's either you like me for who I am or you don't like me at all.
And based on this story that you're telling, you can tell that the woman is already in an abusive relationship. But she doesn't want to recognize the sign so that she can prevent it, which is what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Once she gets into the relationship, one of these days she will come to a party and dance. And what will happen?
She will be hit.
She will be hit.
Exactly.
Then that's setting up the domestic violence that we're talking about.
Exactly.
And let me make this clear. Anything you see going in this direction,
exactly,
and you think you can change the person or you can
pray it
away or that love will cover it, trust me, if you don't deal with these issues before marriage, after marriage is going to be escalating, it's going to be worse, it's going to be leading to domestic violence. Because this is the things you see and you know you are headed to that path. So be careful, because you have to watch out. Awareness, education is medication in this case, and prevention, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
Exactly. And now I want us to emphasize a little bit more on control.
Okay.
On control as a sign, you know, how you can prevent domestic violence. What are the signs? What do you have to say on control? What are your views? Let's start with you, Uzo.
Well, you know, when you look at control, what do you think is the motive behind control? What do you think is the aim? What is the driving force to control someone else? Because they want to have authority over you. Exactly. They want to intimidate you. They want to make you submit, you know, so-called submission. So, you know, and because of that, the man will now have his way and do whatever he likes. You know, most often these people, you know, people are religious, especially our people.
Our people, yes.
They are religious. And because when people are controlling in that fashion, anything can happen.
Exactly.
Because marriage is like give and take, checks and balances.
Exactly.
But if you let one person have the upper hand in everything and so on, the person becomes like a stooge,
Exactly.
you know, a puppet, you know, that doesn't have a mind of his own. Even God does not control us.
At all.
God gave us
free will
and chance. So this is the first
choices.
thing. Yes, this is the first thing you have to know, because control is not doesn't just come alone. Hype,
Yep.
manipulation, intimidation, they all go together.
Yeah, hand in hand.
All of them are to control or dominate you.
Yeah, exactly.
In other words, the person wants to have a rule over you. And in fact, the authority, spiritual authority God gave us, there's never a time God gave man control over another man, even in the garden.
Exactly.
No, God gave us control and authority over demonic spirit, not over another human being.
Exactly.
That's why God gave us free will.
Exactly.
And that we have
choices.
to realize that, and choices
Yes.
or options,
Options,
you know,
yes.
or volition.
So if God himself, who is the creator of the whole world, can give us choices, then why would we be in a relationship where you don't have choices? Why somebody is trying to control what you eat, what you wear? You are in a relationship where your spouse calls you 60 times a day to find out where you are, what you're doing at every particular minute. And you know, for us, audience out there, I don't want you guys to confuse this, because for us, we think it's love. He loves me, she loves me, but this person is keeping a tab on you. There is nothing wrong, don't get me wrong, audience, there is nothing wrong in checking on your partner. Hey, how are you doing? If your partner goes to work and her schedule is from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, if you call her on her way going to work, hey honey, I hope you make it safely there. She gets to work and calls you and say, hey honey, I'm at work. There is no need calling by 9 to see what she's doing. There is no need calling by 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30. Why? You can call during lunch. Hey, you're having lunch. And you can call, hey, what's going on? I'm on my way home. Why do you have to call every 30 minutes? Guys, he is trying to check up on you. He calls you by...
controlling.
He's controlling. He calls you by 5:30 and he's telling you, hey, you should be home by now. And you're trying to explain you are stuck in traffic, you're this, you're that, and that gets him angry. Guys, something is wrong. This is signs that you are heading to domestic violence. These are signs that something is definitely wrong. You have to fix it before you start finding solutions for it. Now, let me throw a question out there. Somebody wrote me an email and she said, what if I am fighting back? My husband hits me, but I fight back. Nobody can hit me and get away. Is she still in a domestic violence relationship?
The answer is categorically yes.
Great job. Explain it.
We are not the essence of a marriage relationship is a compromise, like he said, between two people that want companionship. They want to share love, they want to share companionship, they want to share a family, they want to share if they are blessed with children. It is never about one person controlling the other. And it's not supposed to be a wrestling match. There is one thing one of my sisters always tell me. She says, if you're doing the things of God, when we come to church to worship God or walk in the church, help out with whatever, he said, church work, God's work is not supposed to be too hard. If God's work is so hard, that is not God's work. Or you are doing something that you are not called to do. So the institution of marriage, the way God saw it, is supposed to be a loving relationship.
Exactly.
A kind relationship. A caring relationship. If God wanted us to be in a wrestling match, believe me, he was very clear on every other thing. He would have been very clear on this, that you should all go and take up your gloves. because this is going to be a wrestling match. So because you are fighting back, does not mean that you're not in an abusive relationship. And another evil with fighting back is because you can fight back and actually get killed.
Exactly.
That's one thing we keep forgetting.
Exactly.
You fight back and you can get killed. So when somebody is trying to control you, yes, like you said, we always say, oh, especially in our people from diaspora, because of our culture, we think that it is show of love. please, people, let's know when we are being shown love and when we are being controlled. Control is different from love. If you are stuck in traffic, if you explain to your partner that you are stuck in traffic, if he loves you, he will understand that you are stuck in traffic.
Exactly.
But if you're supposed to come home by 2 and you are not home by 2:30 and somebody is shouting at you, screaming hitting you, stuff. Believe me, it is not love. Let us not confuse the two. Love is one thing, control is another. Do not let another human being control you. You are an adult who has been raised from your family with your own set of values. You're supposed to match it with the set of values of your own husband. And you guys as a family make up your own set of values.
Exactly.
But if one person wants to overshadow the other and be always in control of finances, in control of where we go, in control of what we do,
what we eat,
when we're gonna eat it, make a timetable for you as if you're in kindergarten, something is wrong with that picture. That is what is called control. It's not love.
Before I get to Dr. Uzo on that, let me give you a story about that thing you just said. I know of a lady, she told me that she went to grocery and she came back from the grocery store. Everything she bought from the grocery store, she left it on the kitchen table. So the question was, hey, are you not going to put this out? She said no, because my husband has to take the receipt and cross-check everything on the table to make sure it matches with everything on the receipt. Guys, that's not love. If you love your spouse, you should be able to trust her.
Trust her.
If you give her $50 to go to the grocery and buy food for her family, not your family, for our family, you should be able to know that she was pregnant with those children for 9 months. She gave birth to those children. She will be able to go to that store and buy something that can feed her family. Why do you have to cross-check everything on her list? And then she also told me that when she finished cooking, her husband is the one that will come and dish out the food to everybody. And I was like, wow.
And because her husband is dishing out the food, she's thinking that, oh, he loves
me a lot.
But he doesn't understand that it is part of that control. He's controlling who gets what portion.
And another thing, guys, I don't want you also to confuse it. There are men that are chefs.
That love to cook.
That love to cook. And oh, how I wish my husband can cook, but that's by the way. But there are men that can cook. And these men, I have friends that their husbands are chefs.
Right.
This man, he loves to be in the kitchen. He will cook and then he'll get out of the kitchen and tell his wife to dish. Or he will dish it out to everybody. But you can do all this in a loving situation.
That's correct.
It becomes abuse when one partner is opposing to it and you are still doing it.
And must have his way in every situation.
If it is what we agree, hi honey, I'm fixing the rice, can you get the sauce? And you guys want to do it together, there's no problem. It becomes a problem when it is a way to control and have power over another. Doctors are chiming there. What do you have to say about fighting back? Fighting back.
Yes, well, first of all, I want to ask something before I come to that. If you cannot drop your phone to your wife and say, honey, I'm busy at the basement, whoever calls, answer the call, you don't have a marriage. Trust is the basis, foundation, and the bedrock of any relationship.
That is correct.
And I've seen a lot of people hiding their phone from their wife.
You touch their phone, you're gone.
And the same thing with the woman.
Exactly.
If she can't drop the phone to your wife and say, or rather to your husband and say, whoever calls, answer the phone, you don't have a marriage. You can pretend.
But what are you hiding?
You are exactly. There is skeleton under your cupboard.
Right.
And that is not good, because marriage is give and take. It's a mutual cooperation, mutual relationship, and mutual love. And let me say this again. Both man and woman, everybody deserve respect.
Exactly.
Yes. Every human being.
Yes, they deserve respect.
Even children deserve respect.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, and if you don't have this in mind or at the back burner of your mind and you're entering marriage, and remember, marriage is a relationship where nobody is perfect.
Exactly.
No.
You have to realize that, because you criticizing have also your own fault.
Your own shortcomings.
And then you don't see your own fault. All you see and magnify is other people's fault and that of the woman. Eventually, you destroy that marriage.
Exactly.
So it's also the woman.
Oh, exactly.
And I always like to say this. when I said that if God wanted it to be a wrestling match, when God created
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. First of all, when God created Adam, Adam was among everything. Everything was already created. But God looked at it and said, no, he needs a helper. But God could have taken the bone from anywhere. But he did not. He made it, it's symbolic. The Bible tells us that he made it by taking the rib. He didn't do it because he didn't know what other bone. When people read these things, they look at it literally. But that's not really what it is. They're trying to tell you, I have given you a helper. Two of you should walk hand in hand.
And you know, where is the rib? The rib is by the side. So it's beside you. He would have taken from the head to be above.
If you wanted to be above.
From the feet to be beneath.
If you wanted to be below.
But it's by the side.
By side. So two of you will walk hand in hand. When people understand the essence of a marriage relationship, you know, the Bible tells, some people always quote this, oh, God said we should be submissive to our husbands, the women. Oh, this one. But you have to understand what the theory that is being said there. If I treat you right, if you treat me right, why won't I be submissive?
And that's why the Bible
submissive becomes an issue that it doesn't even matter.
But Dr. Opera, that's why the Bible says, men, love your wife.
Yes.
Because once you love your wife, being submissive to the man that loves you
is not an issue.
The best thing to do in the world.
Because if you're submissive, you're not gonna check me. If you're submissive, if you love me, you're not gonna check me. If you love me, you will not hit me.
You won't put me down.
If you love me, you won't put me down.
You won't criticize me.
If you love me, you won't criticize me. Everything you won't be upset with me for too long.
You won't manipulate me.
Even if I annoy you, you're gonna forgive me soon. Even if I don't prepare the food right, you're gonna forgive me and help me to prepare it. So God knows what he's doing when he said, man, love your wife, women, be submissive. Because he knows that if each party does what they're supposed to do,
it will be
the marriage relationship will be the unit that he wants it to be. A loving union between two consenting adults to do what is right and set up their own family.
All right, audience, I hope you guys are getting this. Please, because you're fighting back, women, men, because you're fighting back doesn't mean you're not in a domestic violence relationship.
Yes, you are.
Marriage is not supposed to be a wrestling match. If you want to go enter a wrestling match, go register somewhere. It's not supposed to be in your home. You don't hit your wife. You don't hit your husband. You're not supposed to be fighting. Some men have heard and some women have heard. Some men will go put on their shorts and t-shirt to come and fight who?
Your wife.
That is supposed to be your better half. I have also heard that some women will hold their husbands so tight that they're about to choke their husbands. Somebody that is supposed to be your better half. Guys, we cannot do this. Because you are fighting back, he calls you stupid, you call him idiot. He calls you useless woman, you say useless man. He says your mother will die tomorrow, you say your father will die tomorrow. Doesn't mean it is allowed. Give yourself time out. Walk away.
Take a time out.
Go somewhere. Domestic violence is not tolerated in the past generation. It's not tolerated in this generation. And it will never be tolerated in any future generation. We are here to say no. And finally, we're going to talk about empowerment. Education. I always believe that education is the key. And that's what we're doing today. Unique Show is to empower, to socialize, to inform, and to educate people out there. We are here and we are creating awareness. You cannot say anymore, nobody told you. You cannot say, oh, you didn't hear it. Maybe you didn't hear it from the American shows. You didn't hear it from the other shows. You're hearing it now from Unique. I am an African. I am relating to my African brothers and sisters out there in diaspora. We are relating to each other. You can't say you didn't hear it. You heard it today from Unique Show. Empowerment. Educating the people. Let's talk to you, Dr. Opera. What do you have to say about that?
And when it comes to empowerment, like you said, education is the key. There is a saying that when you educate a woman, you educate the world. The reason for that is because when people know what domestic violence is, the signs of domestic violence, things to look out, consequences, all the things that have been talked on in this series of domestic violence, then they will understand how to prevent it so that they don't find themselves in an abusive relationship. Whereby they can't prevent it, we're going to talk about solutions on what else to do when you are there. So empowerment is just the key. If you are aware of things to look for, once you're in a relationship and you start seeing signs of those things, then you know it is time for you to check out. Or to say, hey,
you need help.
You need help. And then you go look for help. So I believe that empowerment is the key to everything we have talked about. Look for the signs, people. Once you get the sign, read up about it if you haven't read up about it.
Exactly.
Talk to people about it. There are several people going through domestic violence in one form or the other. Several women. Talk to people in your group, church group,
at work,
social group, work group, wherever. Talk to someone and empower yourself. Get aware. Don't be in denial that it doesn't happen to people in diaspora. It does. It is not an American issue. It is not a Nigerian issue. It is an issue that is affecting the whole world.
It's a human issue.
Yes, it is a human issue. It affects people that find themselves in a relationship. Get yourself empowered through education. Understand what domestic violence means so that you can recognize when you are in one.
Dr. Uzo.
You know, I always say that education is medication to anything virtually.
That's correct.
And also the greatest prescription, because the cure or prevention of anything is in the cause.
Exactly.
The greatest prevention actually is knowing what to do. Because if you don't know what to do, you do the wrong thing or do nothing.
Exactly.
Right.
And because the former Surgeon General said something very powerful, he said the greatest prescription is knowledge.
That's correct.
If we don't have the knowledge and assume traditionally that everything will be all right and hope everything will be all right, that's living in fool's paradise. Or what we call
denial.
Yes, ostrich principle. Ostrich principle is that you put your head in the sand
and
think that everything will be okay.
Nothing is happening out there.
Exactly. When the water is sinking and you are sinking. And you are sinking. So my brothers and sisters, this thing is a biggie because nobody wins with abuse or violence. In fact, violence doesn't even solve
everybody loses.
And at the end of the day, my father used to say something very powerful. He said, listen, when you are hot, you are in trouble. When they hurt you, you are in trouble. So why can't you know how to avoid trouble? And one of the things we have to discuss both in prevention and cure is this empowerment, because it involves education, involves knowledge, involves instruction, involves training. Both how to control ourselves from within and from without, because everything starts from within. If you can't control yourself, you can't control your world. You can't control your environment. So one of the things we have to do again is that we have to know who we are.
Who are you?
To start with, some people don't even know themselves.
So you can identify those things in you that can lead to domestic violence.
The key is to identify the thing that will make you trip off.
Right.
That will trigger
the triggering factors. Yes.
You understand? Because we are not just talking about prevention. We're also talking about the causes and the causative factors.
That's correct.
That can contribute to this thing, because we want to approach it from holistic perspective. We don't want to leave anything out. From the spiritual aspect, because we are spirits, we have a soul, and we live in a body. Also, awareness in terms of getting the words out.
Getting the words out there.
Let people know, because people tend to hide this thing under the rug. I've seen husband and wife, the way they talk to each other and the way they, keep silence and malice and grudges and all that, and they hope everything will be all right. No, it's not going to be all right until you do something.
Something about it.
Exactly. So, and another thing again is that we have to know our temperaments.
Yep.
The nature of our spirit, what motivates or controls our behavior, so to speak, our driving force.
Okay.
And that thing we also have to know is that get some knowledge, because one of the things they say about black folks is that if you want to hide anything from a black man, put it in a book.
Put it in a book, they won't read it.
They won't read it. I've gone to library and see white people, children, old men, old women, 90-something years old, reading and searching things.
Right, researching.
But our people do not, including the men don't even go for counseling. These things are available. Sometimes cheap in the church. Some of the pastors even have degrees in counseling and can, do crisis resolution. But people don't take advantage. So that's why we are creating this awareness. We are creating this education. We are creating this knowledge so that when you have knowledge, you are empowered.
You are empowered.
Exactly.
An application of knowledge is wisdom.
You are empowered.
You now have the wisdom to solve problems. Wisdom is the application of law of God to solve human problems.
That's
Exactly.
right.
You see, knowledge. Let me
repeat that about wisdom? Dr. Also repeat that about wisdom for
wisdom
audience to hear.
is application of knowledge or information or instruction. Is the application of God's law to solve human problems. Now, let me talk about knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Let me break it down so that you can take it down. Knowledge is knowing what to do. Understanding is the technical know-how and why something works.
Also, exactly.
And knowing why you do it.
You do it.
And then wisdom is knowing
How to
apply it and when to apply
and
it.
when to apply
How
it.
When somebody triggers you off, what do you do?
What do you do?
Hey, will you react? How do you solve the problem? Will you take it in, or will you keep on taking an abuse and you keep on saying, I forgive you, and you know it's not even a genuine forgiveness. It's not even from
and they're
his
not
side.
even changing.
Yes.
And he's not even asking for forgiveness because he wants forgiveness.
It's because he's
he
caught.
wants to have another way.
Exactly, another way, so that another day the same thing
he will
is
do the same thing.
perpetuated.
Yes.
So we cannot continue to do that. So empowerment is the key. In fact, empowerment is like the cord that ties up everything.
Together.
And empowerment is not only empowering women or men to find signs of abuse. It's also empowering you to know the signs of
your own person.
yes,
That's what you said. Who you are.
Who you are. Something that is in you that can also lead to that domestic violence. So you can seek help before you get there.
Both men and women.
Both men
And
and
also, this is also very important because the up and coming generation, every day babies are being born. When they listen to this teaching and instruction and this roundtable discussion, they begin to pick up things, because to be forewarned is to be forearmed.
Yes.
Before they get there, they're already empowered to know what to do.
What is happening. And if you can't read the book, like Dr. Ozo said, go on the internet. Thank God that we are. Thank God that we are in the technological know-how information system.
Age.
Type in anything,
And you can
and you can get thousands of things relating to that you can read. If you cannot read, get a family member that can read and explain to you. If it's in a different language, everything is in every language in the world. You can read about domestic violence.
Even somebody was telling me they even have apps now. You don't even need to read. Those apps will read to you.
Right.
You just put it in there and those apps will read to, those softwares will read to you. Guys, empowerment. There's something I always say. Empower one and you educate the whole world. You empower the whole world. Guys, we are here to create awareness. We are here to tell you that you cannot say, like I said before, nobody told you.
I didn't know.
You didn't know. We are here to tell you. Like Ozo said, you might have the knowledge. You know what to do. You might understand how to do it. But do you have the wisdom to know when to apply it? And you have to know yourself, guys. Take time and know who you are.
Yes.
Who am I? Do I always get angry at the smallest thing? Am I a perfectionist? Everything has to be perfect. Then ask yourself, where do I get help? What do I do to control myself? If I know whenever I get angry, I'm going to hit or I'm going to throw, the best thing for me is when I get angry, maybe I should walk away.
You should take a time out. Time out.
I should walk away from that environment. And maybe when I calm down, I will come back.
Get a time out.
If you know when you get angry, you tend to be mean. You tend to use derogatory words on your partner. Maybe the time when you get angry is the time to keep quiet.
Right.
So that you don't say anything you
regret.
Remember, make your words as sweet as possible in case you have to swallow them back.
The next
You have
time.
to chew them.
In case you have to swallow them back. If you know that whenever you see your spouse, maybe you don't like your spouse friends hanging around, take your time. Don't do it in front of your spouse when her friends are around, because guess what? She's going to react because she wants to defend who she is. You might quietly later on talk to your spouse. Hey, this person I don't like. Look at, I think this person is a bad influence. The Bible says two cannot work together unless they agree. The Bible says, come, let us reason together. Reason together is not done by one person. It's done by two people, a man and a woman. It can be in a marriage, it can be in any relationship. But we have to reason. Just like 3 of us are sitting down here and reasoning together, we come to a compromise. We disagree to agree.
Right.
Why we agree to disagree sometimes.
Yes.
But we have to find a way to be adults. If we say we are grown adults, then let us begin to act like one.
Let's act like
Children
adults.
are the only ones that throw tantrums. And when they do that, we as parents and adults, we try to
have to
redirect them, guide them to show them, hey, you can't throw tantrum at every. But now we have full-grown adults throwing tantrum. You don't have your way, you hit your wife. You don't have your way, you hit your husband. You choke your husband. I've seen women jump on their husbands, park their cars in front of their husband's car, telling their husband they're not going anywhere. Hold them on their belts and say you're not going anywhere. And most men, once you do that, they will hit you. You see, some of the time, you people will say, oh, but Miss Unique, what about this? My wife is always inviting domestic violence. What do you want me to do? Guys, walk away.
Exactly.
Take a time out.
Take a time out. I don't care how hard she holds you. Call the cops if you need to. Do something else, but please don't put your hands on your partner. We are not teaching our children that.
Well, what are you teaching your children?
It's not acceptable in
Who
any
is
society.
watching you beat up their mom or watching you beat up their father? What are you teaching them?
We are not going to teach them the wrong thing. We are going to be role models. Remember, before we take a commercial break, I will leave you guys with this. Remember, what you do speaks so loud, I can hardly hear what you say. Your action is what we are looking at, not what you say. You can tell me you love me. I might believe you, I might not. But please show me you love me. I need to see that you love me. I don't need to hear that you love me. With that, we'll be right back.